of our destiny that you have for us. And we ask this in Jesus' name and for his sake. Amen. Say this with me. I've got a destiny. Say it again. I've got a destiny. And it begins today. So for many of you, you've come today to get a little juice to keep you going. You've come to worship or you've come to see a friend. But today I want to talk to you that you have a destiny. And 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 you can miss it. Or you can seize it. And you can take it. Today, I want to talk with you about the moment that happened where God's children who have come out of Egypt through the Red Sea, they've seen God do all kinds of miracles. They're eating frosted flakes off the desert floor. They're getting Chick-fil-A that's flying in every morning. They're getting everything they need. But now they're facing this place where God's called them to cross a line to go into the land he's promised for them. Listen, God has a destiny for your kids and for your parenting of those children. God has a destiny for your finances. God has a destiny for your marriage. God has a destiny for your business and your career. Will you step into it, or are you just gonna stay stuck in your stuckedness and move around in circles all of your life? What are you gonna do? And today, God's gonna speak very clearly to you. I have no idea how this is gonna hit you, but it's something very specifically he's given to me. Today is a day for you to draw a line in the sand with your destiny as you move forward. But how do we do that? So they're waiting at the edge of the promised land, and God's given them something to do. Here's the first thing you need to understand. God had a clear direction for their destiny, and he has clear directions for your destiny too. He might give it to you a little bit of a time, or he might throw the floodlights on in your life and say, go there. Begin working there to get that career, to get that degree, to have that kind of marriage, to have that kind of parenting, to have that kind of financial help in your family, that kind of destiny for you in the future. What is it for you? The destiny I can promise you is not the destiny you're just settling for. Instead, he wants something more for you. And today, listen to him and step into it. So here's what happened. The Lord said to Moses that they were standing at that place where they were to cross the promised land. He said, send some men to explore the land of Canaan, which I'm giving to the Israelites. From each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders. So here's what happens. The whole book of Numbers, from which we're quoting from today, is all about the census that was taken among God's millions of people. And here's what happens. They say, go into your family and get the best leader out of your family, out of the 12 tribes of Israel. He says, go as Navy SEALs. We're gonna send the very best of the best in to spy out this land. We're gonna check it out. I've heard and read in a book this morning by Ed Milet that Navy SEALs are taught when things happen and when orders are given, they move forward. And when things go wrong, they just say, what next? For people that don't get picked to be SEALs, it's kind of like, oh man, we can't do it. We can't do it. We're kind of stuck. We can't make it happen. So they send in the very best of the best. And here's what happened. From each ancestral tribe, send one of its leaders. So at the Lord's command, Moses sent them out from the desert of Paran. All of them were leaders of the Israelites. The best of the best, medals on their chest. And they go into the land. So here's the thing I want you to see today. More often than not, and the thing that I see as well in my own life, more often than not, the reason that we don't move forward is because we're stuck. We're stuck in old patterns of thinking. We're going around in circles. We're following bad habits. Last week we talked about how we could have this signal for ourselves. Like when we start to think that way, we snap our fingers. You have to snap your fingers 100 times a day to say, I'm getting in the mindset of moving forward instead of saying stuck in my stuckedness. I've said it 4 weeks in a row. Somebody needs to submit the word to Webster's dictionary. I invented it. Get unstuck. But here's what keeps us stuck more than anything. Anxiety and fear and unforgiveness and bitterness. And you can stay stuck there the rest of your life unless you say, I'm not doing that because God's called me to do something better. So let me give you a personal example. Last week, I was sitting in my home about 11 o'clock at night. And Andrew's already upstairs getting ready for bed. And I was sitting in my chair. And I looked over there to my left on the side of the chimney. And there was something black. It was about that big. I thought, is that a big black butterfly? Springtime, maybe it's a big black butterfly. And then all of a sudden, I realized something. And here's what I want you to tell you something to start with. My home is so clean, you could eat off the bathroom floor. You could put some ketchup on the floor and dip your French fries into it. We'd give you a plate. We got plates at my house, but that's how clean it is. So this was no fault of cleanliness, but there was a bat in my house. And listen, that's right. We say, oh, these days, don't we? Because we learned, you remember the butterfly effect? People used to say if the butterfly flaps its wings on the other side of the world, it affects things on this side of the world. Well, this is what we discovered in 2020. When a bat craps on the other side of the world, it affects everybody. And so I had a decision to make. What am I going to do? Well, I could have said, well, he seems to be okay. I could go to sleep. Probably in the morning, he'd be fine. He'd come back and get him then. Lights will come on. He won't like it. And then God said, you weenie. Be a man and take care of this. Now, for just a moment, just a brief moment, here's what occurred to me. I thought, here's what I need to do. I need to go tell Andrea. And then, oh, no, I don't need to tell Andrea. I don't need to tell Andrea. Can you imagine the conversation? Honey, we got a bat in the house. That's fine, dear. I'm sure it will be okay. I'm sure because thou art a mighty warrior. You'll taketh care of it in the morningeth. I knew that was not going to work. So we're going to put a pin in that story for right now, okay, Devin? You remind me if I forget to bring it back up. I'm going to tell you how it ends because I want to take you into this story. See, you and I need to do what God clearly tells you to do and not what he doesn't tell you. More often than not, the instructions of God are do this, don't do that. Pull that lever, don't pull this one. Make this decision, not that one. Or stop, just stop. Or go slowly into this. Go slow or no. When Moses sent them to explore Canaan, he said, go up through the Negev, which is the desert, and on into the hill country. See what the land is like, and whether the people who live there are strong or weak, few or many. What kind of land do they live in? Is it good or bad? What kind of towns do they live in? Are they unwalled or fortified? How's the soil? Is it fertile or poor? Are there trees in it or not? He has asked 10 questions that God didn't ask him to ask them. This is Moses at his worst. This is strategic planning Moses. No, I'm going to look for all the reasons why I shouldn't go and stay stuck in my stuckness rather than the reasons I need to go like God told me to go. Go and fight that disease. Go and fight that parenting problem. Go and fight for your marriage. Go and fight for your finances. Go in that land and take it. Finish the degree. Get the job. I don't know what God's saying to you today. But he's got a destiny. He's calling you to it. Why are you not going that direction? Moses, arguably one, if not the greatest leader of all times of people, this is his worst moment. Because he's saying, I'm going to add a bunch of stuff. Now you're going like, if you're a strategic planner, if you're into the details, you're going like, no, I'm going to defend Moses. I'm going to put more around him. You should. I understand where you're coming from. But God didn't tell him to do that. He said, send him in. See, we need to focus on the opportunities rather than the threats. We need to focus on the opportunities, not the threats. And don't be stupid. Listen, if you jump off the church steeple, we don't have one here, but if you jump off a church steeple, you're not headed northeast. Don't do that. That's stupid. But sometimes God calls us into things that are borderline dangerous because the evil one is calling us into something that is even more dangerous. If I can just keep them stuck right here the rest of their life, we're never gonna go forward. And I got them. God said through Jesus Christ, I have come that you might have life and life more abundantly. When are you gonna step into your destiny that he's given to you? Is it gonna be easy? No, listen. They came back to Moses. I wish there was time to talk to you about all they did and all they saw. But here's the long and the short of it. They came back to Moses and Aaron and the whole Israelite assembly at Kadesh in the desert of Paran. Hey, put a pin in that. Because for 40 years, people are going to be remembering this day. There they reported to them and to the whole assembly and showed the fruit of the land. They did their job. They brought some grapes on a pole or some pears or some pomegranates or whatever. They brought it back. They proved that that land was the land that God promised them, a land of prosperity and what they would need. They gave Moses this account. Here we go. We went into the land to which you sent us. There they reported to them. They've sent the next slide, please. And it does flow with milk and honey. It's just like God said it was going to be. Here's its fruit. They brought the fruit. But right there in the middle, there's that word. But I capitalized that for a reason. But the people who live there are powerful, and the cities are fortified and very large, and we even saw descendants of Anak there. The Anakim are the giants that were early in part of God's creation, from which very much perhaps Goliath and his family were from. They're big. It's too big for us. It's big. It's beautiful. We can build this. We can go. We can do that, but it's too big. See, the problem with most people that are Christ followers and people in general, but Christ followers very particularly, is we need to get our butts right. Not the derriere you're sitting on, but the butt that's in your mind. You see, because there's one of two ways that we use our butt with God. Stay with me. All the people in middle school are laughing back there. Your husband is too, but he's kind of stuck in middle school anyway. Here's the first but. But God, that's going to be hard. There are going to be challenges. I don't know if we're going to be able to get Chick-fil-A over there. Are Frosted Flakes still going to fall on the desert floor in the morning? But God, and here's another way to look at but God. But God. God, this is going to be tough, but you said to go do it. But God, I'm heading in that direction. I'm starting the business. I'm fixing the marriage. I'm becoming a better parent. I'm becoming a better spouse. I'm becoming a better citizen. I'm becoming a better employee. I'm becoming what you want me to be. How many of you teach school for a living or help with it in education? Do you have a guarantee that your children are going to pay attention to you? No. A lot of them aren't going to get it, but you're called to be a teacher. Go be a teacher. How many of you make your living in sales or you have sold things for a living? You raise your hand proudly. They're selling something, by the way. Y'all need to ask them, what are you selling on the way out? Help their business, help the bottom line. Do people always say yes to you? No. But you go sell anyway because you got to get enough money to go to Chick-fil-A 3 or 4 times a week and to feed your family from Food Line or Harris Teeter or Publix or wherever you happen to go to. When you say I do, are you promised that every moment's going to be wedded bliss? No. I'm going to tell you something. It won't. Oh, really? You need to get your butt right. Here's the right butt. From Ephesians chapter 2, Paul is talking to Christ followers. See, the people in the Old Testament, they didn't have what you and I have, but we have Jesus. We have the promised one, not just the promised land, not just the promised destiny. We have the promised one. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he has loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ, for by grace you have been saved. That's this but God. Not because I'm good enough, you're not. Not because you've worked hard enough, you haven't. Not because you can move forward in your own power, you can't. Because the challenges are too big. But God, because he is rich in mercy, he's made us alive together with Christ. You know what people want? We want 3 things. We want aliveness. We want to feel like life is alive. It's not dead. It's fun sometimes. It's challenging a lot, but people also want connectedness. Man, that's why we are constantly preaching, get in a group, do some stuff together, get in a group. People want meaning, aliveness, connectedness, meaning. And God promises all 3 to all of them back then, but also to all of us, because Christ has made it possible in the land in which we're living and the destiny he has for us. Finally, today, be obsessed with the greatness of your destiny rather than the size of your challenges. Here's the deal. You're going to pick a destiny. And I'm gonna pick a destiny. Henry Ford was right. Whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Whether you think you can start that business or whether you think you can't start that business, you're right. But if God has called you to it, he will take you through it. Here's what happened. They come back. Joshua, the son of Nun, and Caleb, son of Jephunneh, who were among those who had explored the land, tore their clothes and said to the entire assembly, some of you, if you read this, we're not from that time in that era. We don't walk out in the room and go, right? Unless we're trying to be Hulk Hogan at a Trump rally or something like that, right? They tore their clothes because they were grieved. We got a phrase kind of like that. How many of you in this room are mothers? Would you raise your hand? All right. Have you ever used this phrase, I'm gonna pull my hair out? And maybe you have. Some of you sitting by, guys, I can tell you didn't pull your hair out, you pulled out theirs. Y'all get that about 2 o'clock this afternoon. We have phrases like that. They tore their clothes. And here's what they said. The land we passed through and is explored is exceedingly good. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into the land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Can you see the desperation in their tone of voice? Both Joshua and Caleb are, yes, you can make your finances better. Yes, you can make your marriage better. Yes, you can build that dream home. Yes, you can be part of a church, an army that's changing the world. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It was God's campaign phrase long before it was Barack Obama's. And Joshua. See, I had to say that. I said something about Trump. I had to say something about Democrats. The Democrats and the Republicans. You guys have heard that. I don't know any libertarians. Maybe you're one of them, but anyway. He says, do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. You got any Duke fans in here? Raise your hand. Let's see there. So go ahead and put your hand up. You're loud and proud. Let's see if they can win the next game. But y'all got nervous and I started for a little bit, didn't you, right? Just for a minute. Now you're like, we are Duke. We devour. That's what Joshua and Caleb are saying. We're going to win. We're going to win. Do not be afraid of the people of the land. We will devour them. Their protection is gone. They're saying, like, when we start walking forward into the destiny that God has for us, and we know we're walking forward into that destiny in faith, their protection is gone. But, look at that. But the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. Can you imagine being these two guys? These are the commanders of the Navy SEALs. And they weren't going to get to go in either because the other 10 and their family said, we can't do it. Get that. Joshua and Caleb are going to wait for 40 years wandering with a bunch of naysayers. A bunch of no people. A bunch of Eeyores when Joshua and Caleb are like, Winnie the Pooh, man, let's go. Everybody say, let's go. Let's go. Everybody say it like you mean it. Say, let's go. Let's go. Thank you. No, I've not been drinking 5-hour energy. My family has always accused me of that. I've not done that regularly in a long time. I promise. Then God talks back to them. Here's what God says. But because of my servant Caleb, and Joshua by implication, has a different spirit and follows me wholeheartedly, I will bring him into the land he went to, and his descendants will inherit it. I can't wait till I get you next week what happens when they come back. I'm going to give it to them. And to his descendants, and his descendants will inherit it. But then he turns to everybody else and says, in this wilderness your bodies will fall. Every one of you 20 years old or more who was counted in the census and who has grumbled against me. Not one of you will enter the land. Thank you. Amen corner over here. I like it. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with uplifted hand to make your home. God said, I swore I would make this your home. I'm God. I will help you get what it is I told you were gonna get, but you gotta walk toward it, you gotta move toward it, and staying stuck back here in the rest of your life. The devil's got you if he's got you there. And he's got you if you've never surrendered your life to him. He's got you right where you wanted. Just pay the bills, just play, just move about, just buy stuff, just live, eat, drink, and be merry because tomorrow you're gonna die. Just live it up. God doesn't want us just to live life abundantly in this time. He wants us to live abundantly in that time. Not one of you will enter the land I swore with an uplifted hand to make your home, except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Joshua, the son of Nun. So what today? Here it is. It's very simple. They chose their destiny, and you choose yours. They chose their destiny. You can stay stuck, or you can charge into the land. You can stay stuck in bad habits of treating one another, or you can move forward into the way you're supposed to go. You can stay stuck, or you can go. Is it going to be easy? No. Are you going to have challenges? Yes. Here's the deal. Here's something to think about. 40 years more passed, guess what? There became more giants in the land. There became bigger problems. There became harder obstacles to overcome because they waited. I heard that, amen. Thank you. They chose their destiny, and you choose yours. The International Version of Ephesians 2:4-5 that I read to you a little bit earlier from the King James Version says, but because of his great love for us, God, who is rich in mercy, made us alive with Christ, even when we were dead in our trespasses. It is by grace you have been saved. You and I have been given the grace of another day and another chance to begin stepping into God's destiny for us rather than stuck in our stuckedness, which is exactly where the devil wants you. Oh, gotta finish the story, right, Devin? So here's what happened. I didn't go upstairs and alert Andrew this was gonna happen, but all of a sudden God gave me an idea. I said, what am I gonna do? I can sit down here all night and watch it. I can try to go to sleep and forget it. Andrew would be filing for divorce the next morning when she found out it had been in our house, but anyway. He said, remember the box that came in the garage that had the Amazon stuff in it? It was already open. It had an opening about that big, one of those kind of boxes. You've seen them, right? I said, okay. He said, go get that. Then when I went to get that, I said, well, what if he flies in the box and flies out before I can close the lid? I looked over in the corner and there's a black dustpan. Put the box up there, take the dustpan, scoop him off the wall. He flies into the box. I hold the dustpan on the box. Okay, here goes. Either it's gonna be really good or really bad. So I did just that. I walked up on the unsuspecting bat, sleeping in his somnambulance at night like bats do, full of insects he had eaten throughout the day, overflowing because he'd had too much to eat. Put it on there, stuck it in there. Hit the garage door, turn him loose and he flew away. I want to tell you something. I was kind of feeling proud of myself for a minute. It's like, yeah. God said, you were a weenie 10 minutes ago. I gave you that solution. So I went upstairs and I said, by this time Andrew's cool and I knew it would be okay. I said, listen, it's gone. So when your husband says that to you, what do, ladies? You kind of, like a dog that hears a whistle? She goes, what's gone? I said, we had a bat on the side of the chimney. She said, it's gone. I said, yes. She didn't really say it that loud. She was just glad it was gone. I said, it's gone, but from now on, you have to call me Batman. Now she hasn't, but it's okay. Finally. So what is the destiny that is worth following? It is the destiny of choosing to follow Jesus. Choose to follow Jesus as your destiny. Some of you feel, I already am. Good. But there are many of you, like even the ones both online and in person, the first service, who've not settled that first decision in your life. Today, if you've heard God's voice, Jesus made life possible for you and for me. Life full and abundant. Will you follow and choose the life he's given to you? Would you bow your heads and hearts in prayer? If you are a Christ follower today, first of all, if you know already that you have named the name of Christ, you have made him Lord and Master of your life, but you've not been walking your destiny, walk it out. Begin by praying for the people in front of you, behind you, beside you, and online. Walk it out. If you're in this room today, you're going like, you know what? I play with God. I'm an atheist. I'm an agnostic, or I used to go to church. I never really got this stuff, but you made it crystal clear today. Because of his great mercy for us, Christ has a destiny for us, but you have to choose to be his followers. Nobody's going to body slam you into choosing him. He is going to stretch forth his arms like he did on the cross to say, I love you this much. How do you do this, Pastor Ray? Here's what you do. Say to him right now and mean it from your heart. Dear God, my way hasn't worked. I'm turning to follow you. I give you my life. Take me to my destiny. Very simply put,